Our next laboratory exercise is going to demonstrate how to add radio button widgets to a web form using Fluid Designer. And this is our handout. So the radio buttons look like this. So they are allowing to make unique, mutually exclusive selection of certain options. And one requirement for them is that they actually have to be placed in a group of buttons. So that's something, an extra step that we have to do in our design. And there is a special type of control in the library. It's called FL group. So we will specify this control when we add these widgets to our form. Also, it's very convenient to be able to receive events or notifications from these buttons in a single place. What we'd like to be notified about is which of these buttons was clicked or selected. So that's another design consideration when we use buttons. So there will be just one single callback function to use with all three of them. I have already made a copy of my Visual Studio project, and the prototype for this laboratory is again Lab 4, which is just an empty window. And so first we're going to complete this work in Fluid. So first we're going to take care of the user interface design, get things done in Fluid, and then complete the work in the remaining part of our application. Alright, so let's start Fluid. Okay, so this is our Fluid Designer right here, and as always we need to make sure that when we made a copy, now we have to definitely make sure that we select correct Fluid project, not any of the previous projects but the current one. So this is the location of my project right here. So file open, and we'll navigate to this current laboratory, Lab 12, and open the project. So again it brings up the empty form, and of course it'd be nice to change the caption or the title of the window. So let's just copy and paste this description, and now just see what these instructions recommend us doing. Okay, so important part is to make sure that we select our window as the target of what we're just about to do, which is to say new and add buttons. Part of buttons is what is called a round button. So that's just basic appearance of the round button. So we can specify that this is a label. Actually no, sorry, it's a line, right? We have radio buttons for graphical user primitives such as line, circle, and rectangle. So this will be, the first one will be the line. Okay, and so this is how it looks like, which is pretty much expected. And the next important thing is to change the type from this default right here in the section of the properties to radio. So we want to use this radio class type of the button that we're going to be using. And that's pretty much it, except that also, of course, we want to provide the name for each of these widgets representing these buttons. So this will be the name. So we close this, and now we can copy and paste, right? So we can just press Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can paste Ctrl V just to duplicate these controls, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can arrange these, and now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can paste Ctrl V just to duplicate these controls, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste Ctrl C and copy this button, and now we can arrange these, and Ctrl V one more time. Now we can paste widgets on the window. And so the second control, I'm just going to double click and open the properties and make sure that we update the name. Okay, so it should be the same exact control, except that it's going to be the circle, and of course the label also will be the circle. So that's easy to change like this. And then so line, circle, and rectangle. Okay, so this will be the next radio button. Okay, so this is going to be the label, the rectangle, and switching to C++ properties, this will be RDO rectangle, and they already specified as the radio type. Now we can close this, and so this is, just make sure that you resize them appropriately, everything looks okay. And now this is the next important part, is that we need to select all three radio buttons in the project tree view by using shift down arrow keys. Okay, so we just click on the first one, press shift key down, and use the down arrow, for example, to make this selection. So once we have this selection, there is a special function inside Fluid, which is also available off of the menu, but it's good to just remember the shortcut, which is F7. So if we hit F7, this inserts a group of radio buttons into the design. So now the radio buttons no longer belong to the window. Instead, there is a group, like a container of these buttons, which provides ways for these buttons to communicate with each other and to implement the mutually exclusive type of behavior. So when, for instance, we click circle, all other types are deselected, and when we click the next one, then the circle is deselected and the other one is selected. So basically it provides a foundation for unique selection. So at this stage we just simply save the changes in Fluid project, and of course we need to write code. Okay, so the files got updated, and the next step will be to take a look at the callbacks that we need to provide for these buttons and how they communicate with each other when the user starts to interact with these buttons.